So thanks for coming in. I'm Jim Kohlhardt, Saturn Lounge. We're a marketing agency in Waukesha. And the BizTimes asked us to talk about a topic of innovation in marketing. And we considered several options and decided that 3D modeling and animation would be potentially of interest. So we have 6, so we may have guessed wrong on that topic, but I'm grateful you're here. And this will be formatted such that you can interrupt me at any time, ask questions, offer an opinion or insight. It won't faze me to have any kind of discussion coming back with such a small group together. But first, I will play our show reel. It takes a couple minutes. It just will give you a little bit of a feel for Saturn Lounge. And I don't know that you're going to hear it real well because the AV doesn't seem to be playing audio. So, regarding 3D modeling, revolutionizing marketing for manufacturers, we're going to start with a few study results, just to kind of set up the topic. Don't know if you're familiar with demand gen, but 58% of buyers in a demand gen study said that their decision process is longer due to the need for detailed product understanding, right? However, immersive technologies such as 3D are changing this. A PwC study found that using AR and VR led to a 40% acceleration in the decision-making process. So that's an important element of what we'll be talking about from a sales and marketing standpoint. A group called Mold Stud, their research team found that companies using 3D modeling enjoy 40% faster time to market. So really not going to spend a lot of time on 3D for product development. This is more about marketing. But you know, from the standpoint of bringing products to market faster, 3D is obviously making a huge impact in that area as well. So Google found that 75% of B2B buyers now expect product visualizations that go beyond static images. So I'm old enough that it used to be just bring a box of products into the studio and take some photos, and that will suffice. And buyers are saying that they are looking for more now than just still photography. There's a Forbes report that suggests that businesses that adopt 3D modeling for product visualization see up to 20% higher conversion rates. So obviously that's the goal, right? We're trying to sell more product to more people, and 3D is helping in that way as well. And finally, Mordor Intelligence is suggesting that the global 3D modeling market is expected to grow to $14 billion by next year. So there's obviously a ton of 3D happening now for marketing. So what are current challenges? Product complexity. Many manufacturing companies struggle with effectively showcasing complex products. They have intricate components, technical specifications that are difficult to convey through traditional marketing methods. The complexity makes it challenging to communicate the product's value and functionality to potential customers. So again, you see a photo, there's only so much you can grasp compared to a model that animates. It's difficult to visualize internals and functions. I mean, right, with standard visuals, you can't see inside. You can do a cutaway or do individual components, but you don't see how they interact. So complex machinery or products with numerous internal components are hard to represent accurately in traditional 2D images or brochures. And technical features can be overwhelming for customers. When products have many technical features, it's just difficult to understand everything without clear visual aids. And again, photo and even video don't tell that whole story. Product use cases, showcasing how a complex product works in different scenarios, industries, or environments, can be difficult with physical prototypes or static images. So traditional photo and video, can you access, okay, you're making a product, can you get approval to go shoot photos in the environment where it works, where it lives? Oftentimes, no. Maybe you can, but it's likely not down the street. So how do you handle the fact that it's going to be a flight away? You're going to have to hire a team that you're not familiar with potentially. It's just inconvenient. So 3D allows us to overcome that obstacle by creating the environments in 3D. And going back to the subject of product development, you know, lead times are obviously critical. 3D speeds up those lead times. Material and labor costs, you know, physical models obviously have a cost compared to 3D. It can be quite a bit more expensive to create those one-off prototypes. And how do you move them around, right? How big are they? How much do they weigh? And what's the process to get someone in a room to see the physical component versus the 3D component? So customers, in the end, right, you know, they have higher expectations for how products are presented. And, you know, I think I've made the point that 3D is eclipsing the traditional older approaches. Customers increasingly prefer interactive experiences that allow them to explore and manipulate products in real time. And this, again, static images and one-dimensional visuals fail to meet the engagement level. Same thing with customization and personalization. You work so hard to create a physical prototype or example, and then one element changes, and it's very involved to show that, demonstrate that change much faster in 3D. So, kind of set up the problem, maybe a little longer than I needed to. But now the solution is 3D, which solves these challenges through efficiency, transparency, flexibility, cost savings, streamlining, speed, accuracy, and innovation. So what is 3D modeling? It's the premier method to showcase the depth and detail of a piece without having to physically build it. How do we do it? Usually we start with CAD files. So CAD files have been used in the engineering of the product for years. If the CAD files are available, we're in a position to model more accurately and efficiently, but it is not required. We have the ability to create a model just with a physical sample. Just takes longer because we're having to measure all the different elements to make it as accurate from a scale standpoint as possible. So this is a harness that we created for Werner. They're a ladder manufacturer. They also own weather guard truck boxes, and they have a fall protection division as well. And this harness was brand new to the market. At the time, we were producing a TV spot for March Madness. They're the official ladder of March Madness. So the coaches climb up on a Werner ladder, cut down the nets when they win the region and win the national title in men's and women's basketball. This spot needed to run at that time, and the harness was just coming out. They wanted to feature it as part of the commercial. So they shipped us the harness that they had, and we created the model without any CAD files. And we can model the most elaborate things in the world. If you can dream it, we can create it, which probably sounds familiar to salespeople in the room. We create materials, mimic surfaces, and show detailed features. So do you like the look? We start with previs files. Here's how that harness looked originally. So at this stage, we were just obviously trying to demonstrate that we had all the details correct and the scale correct. It didn't look finished at this pre-visualization stage. But we see how it moves and turns at this stage, and we get the client's approval. Yep, looks good. We can proceed with adding surfaces, textures, colors, and other details. And key applications. Thought I'd share something, even though I know this is a manufacturing audience, something more from the retail side. Maybe as consumers, you're familiar with buying online and seeing 3D now. Nike started with interactive product configurators back in 2000, okay? And we saw a lot of other B2C companies at that time doing interactive websites with product selection, features, etc. On these configurators, customers can modify product features like color, materials, dimensions, and accessories, and it updates immediately so you can compare and contrast your different options that way. The 3D or 360 degree views, however, allow the full view from really an infinite, unlimited number of angles. And that's a big part of where 3D is superior to traditional photography and video, B-roll. So these e-commerce platforms, configurators are integrated into websites, smooth transition for customization and checkout, and more seamless and user-friendly shopping experience, ultimately improving conversion rates. So I was mentioning Nike. They started with Nike by You back in 2000. And then in 2018, they went to 3D for the website for the shoes. And that allowed, again, all the extra features of 3D. So here's something we did for a client called Kinter. They manufacture hardware for retail primarily. And when we met with Kinter, they were struggling to grow the custom component of their business. So they, for years, had been selling bags of the hardware, and they were starting to have success by working with clients to create customized solutions. But again, how do you necessarily demonstrate that? So in this instance, we created a Kinter store. The showroom and demo for the store allowed us to showcase their products in an immersive and interactive way, and it allowed their customers to explore options remotely, eliminating the need for physical showrooms and demos. This is a 3D space where customers can explore the entire product line just from their phone or their computer or laptop. And these online demos using 3D models can simulate how products function in real-world environments, so customers engage with the model, see it in action. Also, potential buyers can explore products from anywhere, which I kind of already covered. So this is the store we created. This is the first version. You can see that there's a food, a hardware section, and they created this display for the Green Egg Grill that was strictly for Ace, so Ace was their customer. And then with this cart, we're spinning it, we're showing different elements of how it works. Now we're over in the food retail section, seeing it from all those different angles. And it just so helps when you're in a sales or marketing space to, how do you describe where that just fell on that freezer display, right? You've got the open freezer display, there's the center where you can put more product out, right? It's clunky to talk about it. They're probably better at talking about it than I would be, but it's clunky to discuss. So we created that Kinter store, and then when they went to Ace, for Ace's show, we created a Ace version. Been very successful for them. In fact, yeah, there's the Ace version right there. Another client is Serigraph. They do graphics. So it's one of those situations where they just don't generally have approval from their customers to go in and take photos. So we created this retail environment in 3D, and it looks like current retail for a number of brands probably, but it allowed Serigraph to show all the different areas that they could provide graphics for in an environment. So it was fun too, because we took the photography and did the rest of it. We designed the wall displays and things like that. This example we didn't do, but I thought it was interesting for Siemens, integrating augmented reality. So now we're taking applications where we have 3D models and we're integrating with augmented reality, or I should say marketers are. We haven't done that for Siemens. So Siemens overlaid digital 3D models onto real world environments, and they were using their users were using other smartphones or augmented reality glasses, and the AR enables customers to visualize and interact with the products in their actual context. It's immersive and helps bridge the gap between digital and physical product demonstrations, offering a powerful tool for marketing and sales. Virtual products in a real world environment. Again, zoom in, rotate, examine different features. And by enabling customers to visualize products in their own environment, AR reduces uncertainty in the decision-making process. So this is a lot of words on this slide, but they used AR to create these demos of their complex machinery and equipment, so clients could visualize how those products would function in their own factories or production lines. Through AR applications, customers could interact with 3D models of Siemens machinery, gaining insights into the operational workflows and maintenance procedures. So again, reducing the need for on-site demos and speeding up decision making. In the long run, much less expensive. For manufacturing marketing, enhanced customer engagement, immersive product interaction. Unlike traditional product displays, 3D allows customers to explore products in real time. Platforms often include customization tools, letting customers modify colors, materials, or features, which we've kind of talked about. Capability makes the shopping experience more personal and memorable. Studies have shown that interactive 3D content can increase the amount of time customers spend engaging with a product by up to 47% compared to static images. So the more time customers are exploring, the higher the likelihood of converting, obviously. Which I kind of mentioned. So this is, let me see if I can pause this, set this up. So this client makes hardware for decking. Again, by the time you're done building the deck, you don't really see the hardware. So how do you explain, you know, what the hardware does, what the benefits of the hardware are? So we created this, among other things, this animation. So you can see the different sides, and then you see how it's used. That's quick, but you see how it drops in under the deck surface for proper spacing and construction.
Was that for B2C?
They're selling to deck manufacturing contractors. So it's kind of B2B. It's DIY B2C and contractors B2B. And in theory, they could sell a ton to both, you know, but it's a brand new product offering, and we were to help them launch it.
I just built a deck like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I've seen the other ones.
Yeah.
I know there's the different distribution channels,
Right. Where did you get your stuff?
I just
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. DIY application.
Yeah.
So again, improving conversion rates using these 3D models, saving costs and time, which we kind of talked about. Here's another example. This is a new product offering. It's called Iron Pass, which we help brand actually. But the founder's passion is, you know, saving the time and hassle and mess of carrying your firewood in through your main door, your patio door, to where you pile it up by the fireplace. So here we think that your primary market may be construction, retail, you know, home construction, but we're hoping to reach an audience of people that'll retrofit Iron Pass into existing homes. So I'll show you one more time. It has the secure lock feature, and kind of really quickly explains what the idea for the product is. And so far, this is brand new. We haven't sold any. So it's not like we could even go out and shoot this real world because of the fact it's brand new and there are no real world examples. So here's a medical exam table. It's nice because you show all the different compartments and features, and you're not having to shoot this and have a person, you know, back in the day you'd have a hand model or some talent that would be opening the drawers, or you could time lapse it. That's also very, very time consuming, that kind of production. So 3D just works very effectively to show off all the different elements of this chair and table. So we've kind of talked about that. Yeah, it's kind of, here's another example we did for Angelus. So again, by the time this is all assembled, very hard to discern. Hands would get in the way, right? If you had a person showing how this operated. I'll play that one more time. It's like, oh, well, I'll move ahead. This one's cool too. We did this for ClearShot manufacturing, so this is a smaller, complex manufactured part with how many different processes. So we did a new branding and website and this animation for this particular client, and it's been a huge success. He's landed contracts with large-scale OEMs, and he told me he thinks sales will be up 400%, revenue will be up 400%. And of course, I'm not standing here telling you that it was just a really cool website and animation, but it's a factor to be able to show how the product, how much detail they can manufacture into these products, and also having a real professional website just elevated the really the experience for the buyer. I've talked a lot about sales and marketing have overlapped so much over my lifetime. I'm 58, and when I started in sales, people wanted to see me. I could make 10 phone calls and get a sales meeting. And if you think about it, there was no internet, there was no email, and there were buyers in all the clients, or most of the clients, and their job was to just talk to every sales rep that they could. That's how they learned what's happening in the industry, what's happening in their marketplace. And the world's changed dramatically, and at this stage, if you don't have very premium marketing, your sales reps struggle to get appointments, because the buyers are doing so much research now that if they don't think you look competent and premium and what they're looking for, you'll just never even get to talk to them generally. Networking events like this might be the next best possibility, or trade shows and networking events to meet people. So that's why I'm so passionate about marketing. It's just so critical now to more so than ever to helping clients grow, and it's fun. And there's almost always any client in any business probably can improve their marketing. They might not choose to or need to either, but almost no company is so buttoned down that every element of their marketing is where it should be. And it obviously costs money to do that, but for ClearShot, this wasn't that expensive, and it's paid off tremendously for Rick, the owner. So a little bit about augmented reality and virtual reality. I've spent a lot of time just talking about the modeling itself, but now with augmented reality and virtual reality, we can provide even more immersive customer experiences. Customers, imagine customers walking through virtual showrooms, interacting with products as if they were physically present, or using AR to visualize equipment in their own factories. So this is what we think is coming. I mean, we've been hearing about it for a while. I don't know that we've seen a ton of it in manufacturing so far, like we've seen with 3D modeling and animation, but we believe it's definitely going to only continue to become a more beneficial tool for manufacturing marketers. And then AI enhanced modeling as well, using artificial intelligence in 3D modeling to streamline the creation process. AI-powered tools will automate part of the modeling process, enabling faster production of detailed and customized models. This will reduce costs and time. allowing marketers to scale their 3D content more efficiently. So like we hear about AI in almost every element of business, we expect it to impact this area. And then the digital channels. In the future, 3D models will be seamlessly integrated into all digital marketing channels, websites, social media, e-commerce platforms, and this will make product visualization accessible to customers wherever they are. So we're here to help if you're interested in learning more. This is the little sales spiel. Tell the world your story with Saturn Lounge. Thank you. Any questions, comments, ideas to share? We've got a pretty small group. Yes.
How would advertising like that be?
Yeah, I think those would be more like demo scenarios right now, right? I don't think you can count on any major audience having the technology. But when you think about demos, okay, demos are great. If you can get your client to fly in and come to your factory, your headquarters, meet many people on your team, and it can go very well. It can strengthen the connection. And that's how things have been done for years, right? But at the same time, there's a major time commitment on the part of the client and major cost involved. So what I think we'll see first, to answer your question, is that you'll be providing demos, that you'll be providing what technology is needed to pull those demos off. So I don't know when it's going to be where everyone on the block, has what's needed to experience AR and VR like that. But you'll probably see it, realistically, we'll probably see it in business before we necessarily see it up and down the street of your neighborhood or where you live. Yeah. No, it's a good question, and I don't have the answer. I think that remains to be seen, because we can all now browse the web, assuming we have our computer and internet connection, right? So I think as marketers, we can count on that level of engagement, but to then take it a step beyond that and say that the prospect has AR goggles or AR software, that's not probably realistic in 2024 at least. So.
I think on the direct-to-consumer side, we're seeing more. I think it was like Porsche who, take their scan a QR code and you show your driveway versus your car, right? Reality. We actually worked out a project a couple years ago. Of course, you got scrapped. Hopefully, it's picked up again. But my clients is a Delta new mushroom gummies, for example, and we use a lot of influencers, right? And so the whole idea there was to get an influencer box, and they would scan the QR code, and out of the box, when they're looking at their phone, these mushrooms start to grow in the box. And then it started talking about, hey, this mushroom helps you with sleep, right? And so I saw that product education side, but
right.
Definitely see more on the direct-to-consumer side,
Yeah.
The money's there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you make a good point, Sud, that a lot of it just does depend on what's the potential return, right? We refer to everything in business as an investment. And as a marketing agency, one of the things we talk about with our manufacturing clients is what's the lifetime value of a client, And obviously, it's easier when you can have clients that are spending hundreds of thousands or millions a year, Those are larger fish, but you can afford, typically in that environment, more marketing investment. So it's more difficult when the return is smaller. What you described, Sud, was the volume play, right? I mean, any consumer tech, could buy that. So, so you have a large potential, even though the individual client spend isn't necessarily significant. I don't know how expensive these gummies are. The fact that anyone can, can enjoy them allows for that larger marketing investment. Other questions, comments?
And your consumer store modeling VR experience, how long did that take to produce? I did one similar, like you said, bringing to manufacturers. It's coming. We did one for a large trade show.
Yeah.
And I was just curious how long that took you, because it was like the initial first time running it.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to gauge if it took too long or.
I think that Kinder project took a couple months. I don't know what your experience was, but I think that was about how long it took to do that first store.
Did you have all of the CAD files for all the different products you were featuring? Or
We did
you
not.
develop any of that?
We had to develop some of that because we did not have a lot of CAD files for the produce and things like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was pretty simple. But that's what took longer, was we were modeling all those everything on those shelves. But you also don't see tremendous. Every orange was exactly the same size, right? So you're still suspending reality a little bit to make the point, but it really helps make the point. Again, I don't know if that helped, but yeah, I think that was about the total amount of time for that first store. Any other?
So if you have a 2D traditional photo shoot for a product,
Yeah.
and you're given CAD files for a 3D product, what percentage difference will a customer expect to pay for that?
That's a good question, and that's changed a lot. They're getting to be very similar. I've done 2 large-scale estimates this year, and I really, in the end, was looking at my photography budget to be almost precisely to the dollar my 3D. And that's why 3D is cannibalizing my photo offering, and why I got into it so early, because we started strictly as a photo studio back in 2002. We just had streams of people coming in for photography. Yeah.
Variables that you can control.
So you do, let's say you have, like that example, if you remember the clear shot example of that part that we animated. If you were taking photo, okay, you set up a table, you put it on the table, you light it, you shoot it, it still needs a clipping path. And oftentimes, the reality is the photography isn't forgiving. So if there are scratches or flaws, now we're in Photoshop cleaning all that up. And yeah, that's work we've been doing for years. But by the time you do all that, we pretty much can take a CAD file and model a product at least. And then you have that advantage of all the views. So it's really about the same. And that's why we're selling way more of the 3D modeling than we are the product photography. We still go out and do a ton of photography personalizing businesses, because that's really one of the important elements for marketing. Is we just cringe when we see anyone out there, our client or otherwise, using any stock photography. It's like, let's see your people, okay? Well, your people, we can't model, we can't get on stock. That still requires us to go in and do some really good photography, whether it's, and then we're doing photography and video side by side almost every time now. Very few people just want one or the other. If anything, they'll just take video and no stills, but you're doing both at the same time in their environment, and it's effective and cost effective because you're doing one setup and getting all your B-roll and your photos kind of at the same time. So maybe that's longer than you wanted, but that's the answer. Other questions?
Is there, suppose you get a product that you don't have CAD files for, you take 360 images of it, and then is there a mixing point of your photography and 3D?
A little bit, but not too much anymore.
Okay.
There was a phase where this was all becoming possible, where we were mixing it a little bit, like you're describing. But the reality is, at this stage, you do very little mixing. See, one or the other. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not opposed to it, but it just I haven't come up with an example where it made financial or practical sense in quite a while. Any other? Well, I appreciate you sitting in and bearing with me. This was a topic that we hadn't presented before. So I'm kind of reflecting that it might have been a little repetitive at times, so I appreciate you bearing with me, but it was the first time we presented it. So hope to see you throughout the rest of the day here. There's networking, there's exhibits, obviously a main session coming up, dinner later on, and more networking. So if you have any other questions or want to talk, we've got a table out in the hallway. Happy to talk about anything marketing or otherwise, just fun stuff. Football, Packers losing, painful. Packers needing a new kicker, we could talk about if interested. So thank you. Have a good rest of the day.